So if I had to go out there and make over $100,000 before the age of 26, here's the things that I would personally do. Now, what makes me a qualified person to be able to make a video just like this one? Well, at the age of 20 is when I had my first $100,000 saved. No, I didn't get hit by a car and ran an insurance claim. No, it wasn't passed down to me. No, I didn't hit the lottery. I actually put in years from 18 to 20 and actually generated my first 100K through multiple business ventures and lucky investments, I would say, because right around the time of the pandemic and making certain investments, it just ended up accumulating. So with that being said, I am a good person to learn from. I think that a lot of these things are opinion based, but I do know that if you're serious about making your first 100K, I do believe that at least one or all of these will definitely help you. So with that being said, let's jump into the very first thing that you should start doing to make your first 100K. The first thing that I would recommend is changing your environment, okay? If you're around things that are holding you back, you have to eliminate them, right? You're accustomed to a lot of these things that are going on around you because that's all that you know. And one thing that I would say is that moving out of my hometown of Cleveland, Ohio to Atlanta, Georgia was a huge shift in my life. I was able to be around higher quality people. I was able to feel more comfortable, but I was also able to relearn myself. And the thing is that if you have old bad habits, the problem is if you're in the same environment, it's easy for you to go back to those bad habits. So I like to recommend to people, like, remove yourself from the environment itself, so that way your chances of going back to those bad habits are actually limited. Okay. Now, the second thing that I would personally recommend is changing your friend group. Okay. I would go down your contact list, right? And the very first thing that I would do within my contact list is I would note if this person is making withdrawals or deposits into my life. Shout out to my good friend Justin P. He actually said this in one of his speeches, I think in person or something, like a conference or something like that. But ever since he said that, that really stuck with me. And what I mean by that is going down the list of your messages or call log, for example, and putting next to each person's name withdrawal or deposits. Now, how do you determine if somebody is making deposits into your life or withdrawals? Okay, so deposits is this person is always there to listen to you. This is the person you confide in. Anytime anything's wrong, you can rely on that person. And they're always positive, or at least trying to be positive, and are pushing to move themselves forward and also want to see you doing well. These are the type of people you want to surround yourself around, and then you want to cut off all the other people who don't meet those standards. You got to kind of be a little bit more strict when you're, focused on a certain goal like this. So I think you should just be okay with distancing yourself from people or just outright cutting them off. Now, how do you know if somebody is making withdrawals out of your life? If you feel like every time you talk to them on the phone, it just takes energy out of you, you gotta remove them. Okay, I know it may, seem like, oh, that's a little harsh to say, but no, honestly, if you really want to get to the next stage in your life, or the better point in your life where you're actually happy, you gotta remove those people no matter what. Trust your intuition. If you feel like, oh man, this person's calling me and they're about to talk about some BS, don't answer the phone. I think it's important for us to limit our communications with everyone, just because we need to make sure that we're curating what's actually being heard and what we're putting a lot of our focus on. All right. Now, number 3, I would say the best third thing that you could do is learn how to relearn. Okay, a lot of the things that you may have learned before, even when it comes to your habits, aren't the best habits or aren't the most qualified answers to questions that you may have. So I would say be one of those people that chases their curiosity. Watch a ton of different YouTube videos and educate the hell out of yourself. At the end of the day, you are as weak as, the information that you know. So if you don't know too much, then expect to have weaker results. Because at the end of the day, if you just accumulate a lot more information and then you implement the information, you're bound to have better results than if you didn't know anything and you just went out there and just said, F it, I'm gonna just try anything and everything, because at the end of the day, you don't really know what direction to go in. And that's why I always tell people, YouTube University is a great place. I mean, hey, you're on this video right now, right? But the thing is that once you get the information, you don't wanna go into like overload of information, right? Where you're just consuming, and you forget to implement, or you just never take the time out to really educate yourself on the right things to do first. And then now you're anxious because you have 50 different things out of 800 different videos that you watch, and you want to do all of them, but realistically, you're not going to be able to do every single one of them. So whatever you do learn, make it a goal to make the top 2 things that you implement over the next 30 days. That way you can at least make realistic goals for yourself and actually hit those goals. Now, the fourth thing that I would recommend is getting whiteboards, okay? I think it's vital for you to get 2 whiteboards starting off. The first one is to set your overall year goals. If you can't actually write down what your goals are, then how do you know what direction you're going in? It's like walking down a path and not knowing the end destination. You gotta know what your goals are, and you have to be able to plot them down. So what things would you write down? All right, what is your net worth goal? What's your credit goal? What's an investment goal? How many books do you want to read? What things do you want to explore? How many times do you want to travel? Anything and everything that you can actually look at throughout a bird's eye view of your entire life, I would sit down and set goals and actually make them challenging. I wouldn't say set unrealistic goals that are so far out of reach if you don't currently have a vehicle that can actually get you there. I would just say be realistic and make them attainable. Now, the second whiteboard that you need is just for ideas. Okay, if you ever needed to plot things down, or if you ever just needed to write things out or write the numbers out to see if this makes sense on a certain investment, I highly recommend getting that second whiteboard as a freeform board. Okay, that's what I like to call it, where I just go and put down anything that's on my brain. I write down any of the notes that I might have, or if I have an idea, I write them down. And this is just a constant creative space where you're able to put down whatever's in your mind, and that way you can actually take action on that stuff, or just take note of it, or just see from a visualized perspective on how something could potentially work out for you just by using a second whiteboard. Now, number 5 is setting daily actions. Now, this is one that is very slept on. So what do I mean by setting daily goals? The day before, or even the morning of your day, right? Set 3 to 5 goals that you absolutely must complete, okay? Before you go out there and play the game, before you go kick it, before you go chill with your friends, these are 3 to 5 things that are your focus, and it's best to get them done in the beginning of the day. So even if it's, read 10 pages of this book, pick up the item from Amazon, go to the gym, and then cook dinner or something, whatever it is, right? This is going to help a lot with your discipline and allowing you to see results in your current life right now at a lot quicker pace. So if you think about it, over 365 days, if you guys are planning and trying to accomplish at least 3 to 5 things every single day, then by the time you get to day 364, or you're 1 year in, and trust me, if you're serious about reaching your first 100K, you'll do these things, because at the end of the day, it's just going to change your overall life and the environment around you, if that's what you want. You got to actually want these things for yourself, and you can't expect for anybody else to come change or help you. Okay, so that's not one of the tips, but I would give that as a like an additional tip maybe. Don't expect anyone to come save you. Nobody really cares about your excuses. Everybody's life is hard. Everybody has went through difficult things. Everybody feels like their story is the story, but at the end of the day, none of it matters. So remove all of your ego when it comes to going after these goals, and never be the type of person to stop learning. The moment you tell yourself, oh, I know everything. Oh, I don't need to go learn from this person. I don't need to go network with this person. The moment you start saying stuff like that, you're putting a cap and a barrier on yourself, and you never want to do that, because at the end of the day, the sky is the limit. Now, number 6, setting aside a portion of all that you make. Now, I read this in one of the books. I can't remember. I think it was The Richest Man in Babylon, okay? So in The Richest Man in Babylon, one of the things that they talked about is always setting a portion aside for yourself. So whatever that portion is that you're comfortable with, make sure that you're setting that aside. If you have a bank account, right? The first thing that you should do is open up multiple bank accounts, okay? So I don't mean go out there and open up 50 different bank accounts. I mean have 3 different bank accounts for 3 different things. So the first bank account is going to be your main account, where majority of your transactions will go out of. The second one is going to be one that you treat as your savings, or an actual savings account. And then your third one is going to be like tax savings, or if you want to put certain amount of money down on, let's say in the future you want to put a house down, you'll leave that account open to put, aside a portion of your money to that. So that way you can actually fund the actual, down payment of the house, right? So having 3 to 4 different bank accounts keeps everything organized. It allows you to really know what's going on, and you can do this. It doesn't matter what bank you have. You can have all of them in the same app and really just overall see everything better. I just think it's more organized, and it'll be easier for you to put money aside for yourself, because at the end of the day, if you only have one bank account, everything goes in and out of that bank account, as opposed to having a certain amount in your main account that you tell yourself, this is what I'm limiting myself to this month, and then everything else that's in these other accounts I cannot not touch for any reason unless it's an emergency, which is another account that's very important. Maybe putting aside, I would say, the next 3 months of expenses aside in a savings account or in some type of checking account. I think that'll be very beneficial for you as well. So having multiple different bank accounts will help you tremendously, and making sure that you set aside a portion of everything that you make for yourself, and even investments, which is going to be one of the next things that we talk about shortly here. Now, the next one that is very important that you cannot skip is keeping your expenses as low as possible. The one thing that I get a lot of people who ask me is, hey, I want to move out of my parents' house. How do I know when to move out? All of these things. And let me be honest with you, and this is just my personal opinion. If you have the option to stay with your parents, stay with them as long as you can. Build a strong foundation, get your credit right, actually save some money, know where you want to move to, set some goals for yourself, get a good paying job or get a good paying build your business. Whatever it is, take all the risks while the responsibilities are low in your parents' home. Because at the end of the day, you can always bounce back and the responsibilities aren't super high. So if that's an option for you, I highly recommend it. If it's not an option for you to, stay with your parents as long as you possibly can, then one of the things that I would just say is just keeping your expenses low. If it's not something that you absolutely need and you don't really feel like you have a lot of money to save, then you got to cut off the things that you don't need, that you will do the things that is required of you. And I actually heard this from Alex Hormozy, and it's been something that I have really stuck by my side and made number one. I will do all the things that is required of me, even if it means it's painful, even if it means that it's a big sacrifice, or even if it means that I have to take a big risk, knowing that the payoff will be 10 times higher. So the next thing that you want to focus on when it comes to making your first 100K is finding more ways to make more money. So the thing is you don't want to have a bunch of different options, but if you do have a job, I do recommend, if you want to start a business, pick something that can actually be sustainable and is scalable, right? So one of the things that I would recommend is maybe starting a recurring based business or an e-commerce business, or learning how to trade stocks, or getting into real estate, right? If you're working a job right now and you're trying to find a way to get to your first 100K, or even if you're an entrepreneur, the best thing that you can do right now is focus on something that can make you a lot more money with spending as little time as possible towards it. You're gonna have to wake up super early, you're gonna have to go to sleep late nights, you're gonna have to do this consistently, and it may not take you a year, it may not take you 2 years, it may take you 5 years just to even get to a point where you're confident in what you're building. So now go out there and start looking at YouTube University. If you want a free case study of how we scaled a brand from 0 to 100K, that'll be down below in the description. It's 100% free as well if you want to start e-commerce. But whatever it is, pick something that is actually scalable and that you can actually find interest in, and go down a rabbit hole of just research on YouTube, buy somebody's course, buy a mentorship if you have it like that. Whatever you have to do to get the information, that way you don't make all of the mistakes that will cost you more money then. Go out and do it. Now, the next thing that I would say is, once you find another way to make more money, I do recommend reinvesting all of your profits back into the thing that is making you more money. Put all of your time and all of the additional profits into that. Again, you can put a portion of it aside, but I highly recommend putting as much of the profits towards the thing that's making you a lot more money a lot quicker. Okay, so the thing is a lot of people, they may start a business, they may see a little bit of success, and then they take it out and then they go buy a Gucci bag or some Louis Vuitton stuff. None of that stuff matters. Stop trying to impress people. And this goes back to the point that I stated earlier in this video: remove all ego. You don't have to go out there and pop bottles just to prove that you have money. You don't have to do any of those things. The last thing that you need throughout this entire time that you're chasing this goal is for you to go out there and do things that you're not accustomed to doing to impress people who never really cared in the first place. So reinvest as much of the money that you make back into the thing that's making you more money. And even if you have a stable 9 to 5, taking the money that you make there that's additional after all of your current lifestyle expenses, take the additional money and invest it into the S&P 500, invest it into an ETF, invest it into a real estate property, something that can cash flow. Whatever it is, whatever you choose, put more money aside into that, because that is the vehicle that's going to be able to get you to a level of wealth or just being rich or whatever you're trying to go after. But in this case, our first 100K, this is going to allow us to get to that first 100K a lot easier, because we'll be able to see our money build and accumulate and actually increase if you're making certain investments in other areas. Now, the last thing that I would personally say is the most important thing out of all of the tips that I gave in how to make your first 100K before the age of 26 is this: it's actually never folding. Don't bend, don't quit, okay? You may take a couple L's, but at the end of the day, as long as you get back up, it's not an actual fail. Knowing that all the things that you want in this life is actually possible to achieve, but you're gonna go through some bullshit, okay? Just outright be honest with you. One of the things that Nipsey Hussle said that I really liked is that you gotta kind of laugh at the things that happen to you in life. You know, learn how to not take everything so seriously, and also not blame yourself for everything that's going on. Obviously, I'm big on accountability, so for the things that you can actually control, take accountability for all those things. But as far as the things that you can't control, just let them be, right? You can't control it, so why get upset? Why get anxious? Why get stressed out if you can't control it? Now, obviously, we're all humans here, so we all at some point in time has this thing that kind of affects us when it comes to those type of things. But at the end of the day, as long as you keep it at your forefront when you're in down moments, that if you can't control it, you shouldn't worry about it, then you're bound to be a lot more successful than most other people who will let those things completely take over their entire lives. So the last one is just don't quit. As long as you do all of these things and find the things that work best for you while creating better habits, increasing the amount of awareness around whatever you're trying to do when it comes to making more money, changing your environment, changing your friend group, and just majority of the other things that we talked about in this video. So if you do need to go back and rewatch it, I highly recommend it. But do these things over a long enough period of time without seeking a instant return, you'll probably see way bigger results than most people would. So my name is Dontez Akram, and if you like this video, make sure you guys leave a subscribe, leave a like, and comment down below the one that is most useful for you or the one that you found to be the most interesting. And I'll make sure that you guys can actually get this, this information down below in the description as well. So make sure you guys check it out. But other than that, it's your boy Dontez Akram, and make sure you guys subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.